Joanna and Moody, Frank and Sherry Lau. In my eyes, this is a celebration, memorial, to two chapters of impossibilities in Jewish life. First of all, let's start with Frank Louis. It was almost impossible to escape the terrible Nazi, wild, deadly attack against the Jewish people. And your father, God bless his memory, could have saved his life. But he didn't want to save the life without a talit on his shoulders. He went to look for his talit. He found the talit and lost his life. He lost his life, not our lives. And then Frank, you don't have to give him an award. He's an award to us. Because he did the only thing, the only right thing, the only great thing that he could do. To remember his father, his family, like many of us who lost their families in the Shoah, and became one of the most important builders of Israel. Louis, this is the right answer to Hitler. He wanted to kill us. You are among the ones who overcame his attempt and brought us back to life. This is impossibility number one. There are other two impossibilities that Karen Isod worked very hard on it. Israel is made of two chapters, the agricultural chapter and now the scientific chapter. In both of those attempts, Karen Isod plays a major role. Let me start with the agriculture one. I remember the first days of our country. If I would be an economist, I wouldn't recommend to anyone to go to Israel. There was nothing to justify to come there and believe that you can have a future. First of all, got a small piece of land. Israel is just 1,000th part of the Middle East, 1 promille, that's it. Tiny little land. The land wasn't really a blessed land. It was a refusing land. Desert in the Negev in the south, swamp in the north, and the remaining pieces of land were not great. Then we didn't have water to justify the terrible state of land. We have two lakes, one dead, the other is dying. We have one river, very famous, the Jordan, but it is a river for pilgrims, not for farmers. It has more fame than water. Then the climate wasn't great. The air was full with mosquitoes and malaria. The neighbors were not particularly very welcoming us. They tried to get rid of us by force. We were alone. No brother to our religion, no sister to our language, no neighbor to our history. No oil, no gold. What else can one say about a blessed land like it? And then we developed the best agriculture on earth as a result of the devotion of the pioneers, as the participation of Jewish life, of the contributions of your own parents, to take a lost land and make it a promised land. It's a miracle, in 65 years, considering that we have to go through 7 wars, outnumbered, outgunned, and win all of the wars. That we were approved to become a state by the United Nations, but the people that voted for us declared an embargo, and they wouldn't let us have rifles to defend our life. Theoretically, or maybe rationally, it was another impossibility. One of the greatest soldiers of the time, George Marshall, who was the Minister of Defense, Secretary of Defense of the United States and was considered the highest authority in military actions, told us, you don't stand a chance, don't do it. And like with the Louis family, so with the Israeli family, we did it. And today we have, as I said, one of the best agricultures on earth. We can make from every drop of water 4 or 5 drops of water. We have from every acre of land 7 or 8 yields. And you wouldn't believe agriculture in Israel is a good business. And a land that didn't justify agriculture, people made agriculture justifiable. It's a story, not of a land that blessed the people, but the people that blessed the land. We did it, great achievement in agriculture, but when we arrived at the summit, the world has changed. We do not depend anymore upon land, but rather upon science. It is a major change in everything that we were used to, or the norms that were accepted, or the plans that were introduced. Because when you have a land, when you live on a land, you have to have a land, you have to have a state, you have to have borders, you have to have armies to defend it. You know where it begins, where it ends. And so we were organized more or less. An excellent army, good people. Science is a totally different story. It has nothing to do with land. Land can be defended or extended by wars. Armies cannot conquer wisdom, cannot defend science. Police cannot arrest innovations. It doesn't have borders. It's not under control. It's unpredictable. You don't know how and where things will happen. I met a few weeks ago President Putin. I told him, look, we're a competition to you. He says, how? I told him the Russian Revolution made by Lenin and Stalin to try to impose maybe a great idea upon your people. It cost the life of maybe 20 million Russians that were killed by the attempt to force the Russian people to become communists. And many millions others were put in jail. And finally, you went bankrupt. Now look, there was one young man, 27 years old. His name is Zuckerberg. He made a revolution too, the Facebook. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't arrest anybody. The revolution is totally successful. I'm not sure that he ever read Karl Marx, but I'm sure that Karl Marx never forecast that Zuckerberg will introduce a sort of a revolution that was unimaginable and impossible. And then again, out of nowhere, Israel became a real important country in the domain of science. I'm asking myself, how did it happen? At the beginning, we didn't have land. Now we didn't have much to invest in science. And then again, like the father of Louis, like your parents who built the land, participated in it, we discover a hidden greatness of Jewish life. What is it? I think since Moses, who made up the genome, the character of Jewish people, the Jews were told never to be satisfied. You cannot be a satisfied Jew. If you begin to be satisfied, you stop being Jewish, believe me. And why aren't we satisfied? Because we think we can make a better world. As long as the world is not perfect, and apparently until it will become perfect, some other few generations will have to wait for it, we try to improve it every here and now. The whole Jewish life was devoted to try and make us a people that out of dissatisfaction we became a creative people. It begins with our mothers. I shall never forget the first Nobel Prize laureate I met was Professor Rabi. He was from the Columbia University. He got a Nobel Prize for physics. And then we had a personal talk, a private talk. He says, "Professor, how did you become a laureate of the Nobel Prize?" He asked me, "Because of my mother." He says, "How come?" He says, "Every day when I came back from school, she asked me, 'My son, did you ask today a good question?' That's what led me to become a Nobel Prize. A nation of questions, a nation of an attempt to do it better." Now, Karen Yesod is participating in this third impossibility. To make a people which is small, alone, to become all of a sudden a large size state scientifically, in spite of the fact that we are a small state politically. Politically, Israel is not a great story. We're one member out of 200 in the United Nations. We don't belong to any bloc. Again, we are quite alone. We're blessed with the friendship of the United States, which is also a God-sent friendship, that we appreciate it. But when it comes to science, look what happened at this conference. Hundreds of the best scientists of the world came. The ones who participate in the different panels, you could hear brilliance, unended. Many of them are Jewish, if not most of them. At least in one domain, I didn't find one Goy. All the economists of America and the world, more or less, are Jewish. By the way, many of them are former Israelis. And now we are building a state in a new age, trying to be true to our heritage, which is a moral heritage. I mean, there is one document in the world that for the last 3,500 years was never changed or corrected. And this is the 10 Commandments. There's nothing like it in history. Not only didn't a word changed, but it became the basis of the Western civilization. And you know, wisdom doesn't age. Even at the age of 90, you still can be a holder of wisdom of your parents. And at the same time, in addition to the 10 Commandments, we are told, my boys, my girls, don't be satisfied. Continue to be a contributing people, to bring light and hope and support not only to you, but to your fellow men, because all of them were born in the image of the Lord. So Louis, I came here simply to declare that what people think is impossible are in fact the greatest possibility, because the challenge is so high and so great that you must be something, somebody, and more than something and more than somebody to show that there is one possibility in face of many impossibilities. And this is the human being, and for us, the Jewish people. God bless you. Thank you.